Hey everybody, how is it going today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about the energy sector stocks. Again, they are continuing to be some of the strongest stocks out there. And in this video, I want to show you the ones that I see setting up the best right now. Okay, well, the first thing I want to start off with is the market averages, just because we're having such a big down day. And I'm going to start off with the QQQ first. And the NASDAQ definitely looks like it is performing worse than all of the other ones. And the move to the downside has really accelerated today. After last Friday's bullish hammer pattern, I thought we had a pretty good chance of reversing. I didn't really buy anything because you got to wait for these reversals to prove themselves, and as we can see, it has not proved itself as of yet. And it's finding support right about 350 or so. But if that doesn't hold, I think the next logical area of strong support anyway is right here with a 200 simple day moving average is the 200 period simple moving average, this yellow line on the chart, and also coincides with this support area that we had back in April, May, and then this consolidation back in mid-June. So I think that puts us right around 340-ish. Let's call it 338 to maybe 342. I know that's kind of a wide area, but I like support areas rather than a single line in the sand. And I think if the NASDAQ can come down to this area, I'm probably going to be buying a little bit more aggressively. I haven't really bought anything since the market has rolled over. I've just kind of been watching and waiting. I was wishing that I would have bought more oil stocks, but unfortunately I didn't, man, because those things are so strong and they are really diverging against the overall market right now. So, if you're not in oil, chances are you're probably feeling some pain, because I don't have enough oil, and I'm certainly feeling a little bit of pain. Even the hedge that I have on in the SQQQ, that's really not making all that much money compared to some of my other positions that have been pulling back. But that's not a big deal, because when the market pulls back, I like to add to my long-term holds. But let's go take a look at the diamonds next. If we take a look at the diamonds, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we can see the Dow Jones is holding steady. It's holding this support area right here, so definitely stronger than the NASDAQ. And it's not as high above the 200 period simple moving average as the NASDAQ. So, one more decent size move down and the Dow Jones is going to be right there as well. So, I think that could be a pretty strong area of support if the markets do get down to that 200 period simple moving average. Next one I want to talk about, of course, is the spider, which is the S&P 500. You can see the S&P 500 is looking a little bit more similar to the NASDAQ. It's not falling as hard, but this definitely looks like this is going to be the next logical area of support right here. And that also coincides with that 200 period simple moving average. So I think the market itself, unless it really blasts through this level really hard, I do think that the market is going to find some good support right here. And I bet we get a pretty decent sized bounce once the three averages get down to that 200 period simple moving average. All right, so let's get into the energy sector. But before I get started, if you don't mind doing me a small favor and liking the smash button, that really helps out the channel. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I like to give trading ideas that I see in the market in just about every single video. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you subscribe. And I also have a Patreon group, so if you are interested in seeing what we are buying and selling in real time, that link is down there in the description, and that costs a measly $10 a month. But let's get into the oil sector. And first off, I want to start with the USO, which of course is the ETF for oil. And as we can see, oil is having a very strong day. And in my last video where I talked about the oil stocks, I believe we were having this little doji day right here. And I was talking about how I thought this was definitely going to be a sustainable breakout, but if you wanted to wait for a test of that support area, you could definitely do that, and that's what we got just a couple of days later. You can see that pullback came down to support and just touched it and then exploded to a new high. So that is definitely what you want to see in a breakout. And another thing you want to see is all of this volume that is accompanying it, and this looks like a pretty strong sustainable breakout from here. Very seldom do you get a combination like this and then an immediate rollover back into the consolidation, back below the support area, but that could happen, so we have to be aware of that. But it looks like all signs are pointing to higher prices for the USO. And if we take a look at the XOP, This is the oil and gas exploration ETF. Let's back it out a little bit. We can see this one is breaking out to a new 52-week high. So this is another sign of strength in the energy sector. So if I had to guess, I would say this sector is probably, or at least has a very strong chance of rallying into year end. So this might not be a bad place to be watching. And of course, this sector is diverging from the overall market. So if the overall market continues to be weak, I would expect more money to rotate into the stronger sectors. And this one is definitely one of the strongest ones out there. All right, well, the first name I want to go over is MMLP, Martin Midstream, and I've talked about this one several times on the channel before, and this one looks like it could finally be breaking out soon. In fact, I took a small position in it today, and if we do get a breakout, I'll probably end up adding to it, but we can see that the range is really starting to tighten up right here at the resistance area, and of course, you know, this sector is so strong. But one thing I do want to add is there are a lot of stocks in this sector that are getting a little bit extended, going a little bit parabolic, and I think people might start to take short-term profits in those, and they're probably going to look for some other names to rotate that money into, and one of those names could be MMLP. You never know. But that's how it kind of works. You know, you notice in certain sectors when they get strong, you know, there'll be like a small group that kind of takes off, and then once it pulls back, you know, another small group will start to gain momentum. So hopefully that happens with MMLP, and this one is a very thinly traded stock. You know, there's less than 90,000 shares traded so far today. There is some time left in the day, but still very thinly traded. But that also means that, you know, it shouldn't take a ton of buying pressure to get this thing moving. And, you know, if we do get a breakout in MMLP, it could be a pretty fast mover. But the next one that I want to go over is Alto. Let me see here if I can write it right. There we go. Alto is making a little bit of a rounded bottom formation. This is another candidate that could have some money rotated into it if profits start getting taken in some of those other names, and I'll go over some of those in just a minute. But ALTO is making a very nice rounded bottom, had that false breakdown in mid-August, and now it is above all of the moving averages except the 200 up here, but that's going to be the next target if we do get a breakout. But Alto reminds me a lot of, you know, some of the airlines that I traded last week. I traded some options in American Airlines. You can see American Airlines is making a very similar pattern before that move up. I didn't think it was going to be an enormous move up in American Airlines. That's why I used options to try to capitalize on that move, you know, leverage it a little bit. Another stock that was making that same pattern was Southwest Airlines. You can see Southwest Airlines made a much sharper move. I guess I probably should have bought options in this one. And another one was Delta Airlines as well. You can see very similar looking patterns. Once they get over those moving averages, there is a potential for a sharp move up. And of course, the oil sector is already pretty strong at the moment. So that's why I feel a little bit confident that Alto might be the next one that is a pretty decent mover. Another one that I'm looking at is one that, of course, that has been running, but it is pulling back. It is CEI. Let me get this stuff off here real quick. You can see CEI, Camber Energy, has made a huge move up, pulled back to that 8-period exponential moving average. I wish I would have seen that last Friday. I was focused on some other things. That would have been a great day trade for CEI, but it's you know, pulling back again today. And if we go to that 15-minute chart, this is what I'm looking for on CEI. We have this pullback right here. I'm looking for a break of this trend line. We also have some support right down here. This has been a pretty sharp move up, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it ends up breaking the support level and continuing to go lower. So that's why I'm just kind of sitting and watching Camber Energy, but this one still looks pretty strong, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it breaks this trend line and you know, takes out this old high. So CEI is definitely on my watch list. Very nice looking pattern in Camber Energy. And the next one is Next. Let me back out on Next a little bit. We can see Next is pulling up off of this bottom, and it has been moving sideways, forming a little bit of a handle. It's in what I like to call the pressure cooker. It's right between the 200-period simple moving average and the 50-period simple moving average, and of course all those other moving averages are there as well. So this thing, I like to call them ticking time bombs, because usually once you get a move out of this moving average compression, it's usually a pretty big move. So I'm thinking Next is probably going to be a breakout to the upside. And if we go to that 15-minute chart, We can definitely see it is making a very nice rounded bottom formation after this move up. So that's showing you that there's definitely some strength and more accumulation going on. So a break above this area, call it, I don't know, you could probably call it 310 to 315-ish. I think that could start the next move up in next. All right, guys, well, before I close out the video, I just want to go over a couple of those names I think that are getting a little bit extended, a little long in the tooth, you know, maybe going a little bit parabolic even. This is not the area in the chart where I usually like to end up buying because more often than not, there's a pullback right around the corner. So I usually wait for a pullback when a stock has gone, you know, a little parabolic like this. But the first one is ConocoPhillips, ticker symbol COP. This thing has gone straight up after touching the 50-period simple moving average right around $56 a share. Today it was over almost up to $73 a share just a couple short weeks later. So this one is definitely extended. Me personally, I would probably wait for a pullback to this area right around 62, 63-ish before I considered buying into ConocoPhillips. And that would be a really nice pullback to get into because this thing is really strong, coming out of a very nice rounded bottom formation. So if it can come down to right around this area, I think that'd be a great area on ConocoPhillips. Next one I want to talk about is Devon Energy, ticker symbol DVN. We can see this one going parabolic as well and also touch that 50-period simple moving average right around $28 a share and is now almost touching $40 a share today, just a couple weeks later. But, you know, another nice rounded bottom formation. I would wait for a pullback in Devon Energy. Next one I want to talk about is Matador. Matador going parabolic as well after jumping off that 50-period simple moving average. It's out to a new high. This one is a little bit closer to a support area, so this wouldn't be a bad support area if it pulls back. Call it 3750-ish for Matador. In fact, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you get a couple more days to the upside. This thing is just freshly breaking out over the last couple of days or so. Next one is CPE. Definitely sees CPE is getting a little long in the tooth. Plus, it's headed up towards this resistance area right around $60 a share. So wouldn't be a bit surprised if this one pulls back. Next one is FANG. You can see Diamondback Energy is breaking out to a new 52-week high today. So you might get a little bit more in FANG, but this move is definitely extended. And, you know, once these stocks, you know, start to pull back, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if some of that money starts to rotate into some of the other stocks that are lagging a little bit and hopefully into the ones that I am in. That would be fantastic. But if you guys are in any of these stocks, just don't be surprised if we have a pullback in them before too long. All right, everybody, that's all I have for this one. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, or if you want me to take a look at any other stocks, please leave them down there in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.